Hello, I am Sarah. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are just having kind of a chill sit-down discussion. Nothing fancy, no fancy background pictures or whatnot. So whether you want to throw this on and treat it like a podcast and listen in the car, or you want to make your dinner, I'm just going to be having a real chat with you about 5 things that I plan on doing differently my second time postpartum, and also a few things that I think I actually did quite well in my first that I plan on redoing with this second baby. For context, my first son will be 3 pretty much within a week of having this next baby. I just put him down for a nap, so I thought this would be a good time to have a little chat, to make myself my second little decaf coffee of the day. I've been craving this like crazy. And I am currently 34 weeks pregnant. And I will be having this baby via C-section. This will be my second C-section. My first one was because my son was breached the entire pregnancy on top of also having gestational diabetes. This time around, I did have the opportunity to choose a VBAC if I wanted because of how long it has been between my pregnancies. And I really went back and forth. But I did opt for another C-section because for several reasons. One, because I've done it, I recovered really well before, and I loved the ease of just like going in, having your baby, knowing what to expect. Also, the first C-section with my son ended up saving his life because we did not know, and no one caught it on a scan, but he actually had a super tight knot in his cord. And I was told by my OB that if I had pushed for more than 5 to 10 minutes, we actually would have lost him. So that I'm so thankful to God that we ended up having that C-section, and it definitely has given me a little anxiety around birth in general. So I just decided on a C-section a second time, and it ended up being the right choice because of how big this baby is measuring. My OB is also now like, I would have probably had you have this anyways if you had chosen to try to push. I would have probably really pushed for you to do another C-section. So I'm thankful. Today I want to talk to you about some of the lessons I've learned, things I plan on doing differently, what I'm looking forward to, all of that. So let's get started. So the first thing that I will be doing differently this time around, and I want to just say before I go into this first one, because it can be controversial and I know there is so much discussion around breastfeeding and formula feeding and all of that. For context, with my first pregnancy, we noticed in my pregnancy that my breasts did not change at all. No growth, no nothing. And so when the time came when I had my C-section, my son ended up being in the NICU for a few days, and we were waiting for milk to come in, and nothing did. We tried pumping, we tried all these different things, and I ended up being put on medication to try to increase my supply. And we did choose to start formula feeding him in order to get him out of the NICU in the midst of trying to build a supply. They put me on medication, I forget the name of it, but it's meant to increase your supply. And still pretty much nothing happened. I would pump for 45 minutes and get 1 ounce total between both. And it was so disheartening and so hard, but I actually did that for just shy of 4 months. So we formula fed and I pumped every few hours, and basically to me it was justified because when I did the math, I was getting about 7 to 8 ounces a day with that routine. So for me, it was a bottle a day of breast milk for my baby felt better than nothing. But I will tell you, it was the most insane labor of love. And I didn't even have to get weaned off this medication when I decided to stop because of how much work it was and how mentally and physically exhausting it was for me. I didn't even have to get weaned off. I took it and within 2 days was completely dry. So this time around, I am choosing to not pump, to not even try that. I don't think my capacity is there to be able to do that for a second baby while caring for a toddler. But I have a phenomenal friend, God bless her, who actually has an oversupply, who is giving me frozen breast milk and colostrum for the hospital. And I'm so thankful to her. But this time around, I have just decided that we are going to pretty much be exclusively formula feeding. Now, I know this is a very specific thing and a very specific subject. We actually ended up seeing a lactation specialist several months after having my son, and what they determined was that I actually didn't develop properly in puberty, so I don't even have the ability to grow more of a supply than what I had, which was basically nothing. So I'm not doing that, and I feel no guilt about it. I even asked my OB this time to put it in my chart for the hospital that like I have an inability to breastfeed, just so that there's no pressure. And I am fully a fed is best mom. If I had been able to breastfeed, I would have, but I don't have that ability. So this time I'm letting go of that guilt. And the silver lining is my husband and I can take turns throughout the night feeding the baby, especially in the first few weeks when it's extremely exhausting. Because in the first time, I had to get up every time with him to pump, even if he was the one doing bottle feeding. And when I was the one doing the bottle, it'd be like 45 minutes for a bottle and then like another 45 minutes of pumping. And I found the newborn stage the absolute hardest because of the sleep deprivation. So that is something that we're doing differently this time. And I'm really happy with that decision and really confident with it. My son was 99.9% formula fed and is healthy and thriving, and there's no guilt around that, and I'm really happy with that choice. The second thing that I'm going to be doing differently in this newborn stage is letting myself slow down. I am someone that when things feel out of my control, I control whatever I can. So with my first son, I would plop him down in a bouncer or in his bassinet or something, and I would almost like deep clean my house daily. I was always cleaning or baking or cooking. And on the outside, it probably looked to everyone like, wow, super mom. You know, I would have my hair and makeup done and beautiful meals made and my house stayed pristine. But I wasn't actually just like soaking up all the newborn time. I would wear him all the time. We'd have cuddles. Like, it's not like I would just like put him down and forget him. Obviously, I would hang out with him and do those things. But I was so preoccupied in my mind to like keep things together because everything felt so out of my control that in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, oh, the dishes could have waited. And I could have, you know, just asked for more help and just held him more and like soaked up that season because it flew by. And this time it's going to be so different because I'm going to have a toddler and a baby. But I think this time I really want to just be okay with like my house not being perfect and be okay with asking for more help so that I have the time to be able to soak up those newborn cuddles. Because I think a cool thing about having my second, and I was saying this to my husband, is when things feel super hard, I'm going to be able to look at my oldest and be like, oh, it was like a blink of an eye. Like the sleepless nights that feel like they're never going to end, suddenly he's going to sleep through the night one day and it will be gone. So it won't feel like this never ending like doom and gloom of like, I'm never going to rest again. I'm never going to sleep again. I'm really fortunate that my oldest from 3 months on has slept through the night every night. I know that is a rarity, but we're blessed. And we're hoping the love for sleep is genetic because both my husband and I apparently were really great sleepers, and our first is. So knock on whatever I can that the second one also does. But yeah, I think this season I think this time around, just remembering you don't have to have it all together, and it actually doesn't matter to your kid if you do. What matters is that you're there and slowing down and soaking it up even more. Now, the third thing I'm doing kind of goes hand in hand with what I just talked about in terms of wanting to have all the things together to soak it up and really to savor that time. This time I am doing freezer meal prep. We actually purchased a freezer yesterday, a mini freezer. And last time I didn't really do that. We are very blessed in our church community that we do meal trains when people have babies. So we were given enough meals that I didn't cook anything for about 2 weeks. And it was such a blessing. But this time around, I'm doing more prep. So like even this morning, I baked a couple sourdough loaves and some scones, and I'm planning on doing some quiches and some chilies and some like stir fries that basically my husband can defrost it, throw on some rice, and we can dump it on top after it's been heated. So I plan on doing a lot more preparation for that. Not even just so that in the first few weeks I can just go crazy and not have to cook anything, but I'm going to, when I have the ability and the capacity and the desire, I will make something. But then when there are days where I'm just like not able to do it, or I just don't have the ability, or I'm extra sore from recovery, then I can pull something out and defrost it. And that in turn, I think will give me a lot more peace of mind to soak up that time with my kids. So doing a lot more prep this time. I'm fortunate I'm going to have about 3 weeks off of work before the baby comes. And I'm planning on, rather than doing like a full day of prep, what I'm planning on doing is days that I'm home and I'm already baking something in the morning, because I do bake a lot, whether it be, muffins or breads or things like that for my son. I'm just going to double batch things as I do them throughout the next few weeks. And like with one night, if I'm going to make, I have a really yummy recipe for like a peanut chicken curry. One night I'm going to make it for dinner, and I'm just going to double it in the crock pot, save half of it, freeze half of it. So rather than putting out like a ton of money for one big haul and like exhausting myself in one day, I'm just going to slowly fill that freezer with things, and that's going to make things a lot easier. This one is so simple, and some might say it's a little vain, but I know for me it will make a difference. Is I'm going to not only have my diaper bag, but I'm also going to get myself like a cute bag that I like, which feels so random, but with my son, I had a diaper bag, and I used a front little pocket of it to be my purse to hold my wallet, lip gloss, what have you not. But I have not purchased myself like a cute purse that I love for me. And the past couple months, I've just been thinking like, I really want a nice purse that like I enjoy, that I want to carry around. And then I think, oh, I'm having a baby though. But I'm like, actually, I should do things like that for me. So not just like the purse, but like do the little things for you that make you feel better, and don't just do the bare minimum of what you need for your baby. So most of the time that I'm out and about, I'm going to have my diaper bag in the bottom of my stroller, and I want to have a cute bag that is just for me. And that's just a lesson of like, don't neglect simple things that bring you joy. I've never been a girl who cares about shoes, but I love having a nice bag. And I actually haven't had a pretty purse that like felt like it could just be mine since becoming a mom. And so my birthday is in a few weeks, so I'm thinking of asking for some like gift cards for like Winners or HomeSense. One, to decorate our house, but two, because I want to get myself a bag that I really love, so that like when I'm running around, and this is the thing that happens when you're a second time mom, I think. I'm at the point with my son now where if we're running out for 2 hours or so, I'll just shove 2 diapers and some wipes in my purse and go. I don't carry around a big honkin' backpack. Now, obviously, as a formula feeding mom, I will need to carry more. But I think I'm a lot more relaxed with what I bring with me, and I don't panic if I don't have everything under the sun prepared. So this time around, I'm going to do that, which might sound so silly, but for me, I'm really excited to be like, you know what? I'm also going to have a cute bag. That's just my bag, so that I'm not digging through a diaper bag every time I have to make a purchase or find something for me. This next one is probably the biggest and the most important thing that I am going to be doing differently in my second time postpartum. And that is taking better care of myself. When you become a mom, it is so easy to neglect you and to be so focused on caring for your baby, which right, you need to be caring for your baby. They are fully dependent on you. But I really neglected my mental health and my physical health at first. And for me, when I was 18 months postpartum, I had to make a doctor's appointment because I knew something was wrong. I assumed that I had postpartum depression. I didn't even know if you could have it that late in the game. But I got to a point where I was so beyond exhausted. I was irritable. I would cry at the simplest things. I was lashing out at my son and my husband. I wasn't myself. And I made an appointment at my doctor. And as somebody who has a history with a mental health disorder, I saw all the signs that something was wrong. So I made an appointment with my doctor. I sat down with her. I explained what was happening through tears. And she said something that was so validating and wonderful. She said to me, she goes, Sarah, in a crowd of moms, if I had to trust somebody with my kid, it would be you. And I was like, what? And she said, you are on it. She's like, every time you're in for an appointment, like you've got everything covered, like your questions, you ask the right things, you say the right things. She said, you are so attentive to your son. You take such good care of him. She's like, I would trust you with my kid. And that was a huge compliment. But she said, part of the reason you're able to do that all so well is because you've neglected taking care of you. And I was just like, I just started crying. So anyways, we ended up doing a full blood panel. Come to find that I was like severely anemic and deficient in so many vitamins. So I walked out of that appointment feeling validated, but also having some answers. And I was like, okay, it was this moment of realization. if I'm going to be here for my kids and I'm going to take care of them well and be the mom for them that I want to be, I have to take care of me. So immediately I started taking vitamins consistently. I changed the way that I was eating. I was nourishing myself more intentionally, and I started moving my body with intention. Something for me that I've always loved is running. So I got back into running. I started going to spin classes. Those are my two favorite forms of movement, and I did them consistently. And I'm so blessed to have a partner who supported me in that, and he would watch our son so I could go to classes or go for my runs. And it took about 3 to 4 months for me to see a noticeable difference, but I was consistent and my mood shifted. I slept better. I wasn't as irritable. I started losing weight. I actually lost about 35 pounds before getting pregnant this time. And that was part of the vision too, is I wanted to be better for my son and my husband, but I also knew that we wanted to have more kids and that the timeline we had originally kind of talked about was approaching. So this time around, I am so thankful that I've learned some of those lessons. So it's going to be like, okay, stay on your vitamins. One that's really hard is drink some water before you drink your coffee. Don't over caffeinate. Things like that, like moving my body. And I know a C-section is the right choice for me this time again, and I'm glad I'm doing it, but I'm also like, okay, I have to be so intentional with my recovery to be able to get back into working out consistently, to feel better. So that is a lesson that I think most moms probably don't learn until after a while, after they've had their first, because becoming a mom is such an adjustment. But it is so true that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So when you take care of you, everything is going to go better for your family. And that also has to do with your spiritual health. So like reading your Bible, taking time with the Lord, and also giving yourself grace to know that when you're a mom, that doesn't necessarily look like every day you're sitting down for an hour straight reading your Bible, but it could just be like simple devotions and worship music while you're cooking breakfast. But taking care of yourself in order to take care of your family is vital. Vital. And the difference in who you are as a wife and a mom is like insane when you learn that lesson. Now, a few things that I actually think I did really well with my first son that I will be doing again, let me tell you. Number one was actually getting dressed and ready in the morning. Even today is a day that I was home. I had a friend over for brunch this morning with her daughter, and I knew I wasn't going to be leaving the house at all, but still put on a little makeup, put on some earrings, threw my hair in a cutesy bun. You feel so much better when you know that you took care of yourself. Like the saying, when you look good, you feel good, is so real. I work in the beauty industry and I see it every day. Women who have just kind of given up on themselves and then take the time to come and have an appointment and take care of themselves, and they walk out with like a weight off their shoulders. It is so hard to be a mom. It is the best and hardest thing ever. But when you take even just like 10 minutes, have a shower, do your skincare, that was the minimum for me. If I was like at capacity and knew that I wasn't like fully like doing my hair and makeup, and if you're not a makeup person, cool. But at minimum, have a shower, do your skincare, and like brush your hair. Like my uniform for the first 6 months of being a mom was a clean face, a slicked back bun, leggings, a tank top, and some sort of like flowy plaid open shirt. That was also when I was attempting to breastfeed and attempting to pump, but this time I just know, like, continue to take care of yourself. You can put your baby in a bouncer with a little safe toy for 5 minutes outside of your shower, you know, and take that time for you, because if you stay in your pajamas all day, I guarantee you are not going to feel motivated to do things well and with excellence throughout your day. So bare minimum, have a shower, do your skincare, take care of you. That's something that I know I did well, and I will continue to do this time around. Something else that I did that is something that really, really matters is making sure that you are connected with some other moms. Now, I am very fortunate that naturally comes through my church community and churches that I've been involved in the past. A lot of my friends, and I have a small friend group, I don't have a huge friend group, but a lot of my friends were all in a very similar season of having young kids. And when I was having a really hard mom moment where I felt very alone, or I felt guilty about something, or I just didn't know what to do, I would reach out to a friend. I would often reach out to my friend Amanda, who has a couple kids, Or I would reach out to like another girl at my church who's a little older but has kids who've grown up. And I would just say, here's what's happening. Here's how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's the right choice. And often they would validate my feelings as a mom and be like, yeah, actually your instincts are totally correct here. Or they would say, you could do that. Here's what I would do. But just letting other moms in, not only into the great things, but into the messy things, because you are not alone. I have a friend who is about to have her first. And I just said to her recently, like, when you have moments when you are so beyond exhausted and you are feeling guilty about thoughts in your head, or you feel like you're the worst mom on planet Earth, like, please reach out, please tell someone, please talk to me, and just know, like, we have all been there, and moms need that to feel less alone. It is so helpful to see that you're not crazy. Being a mom is the best job ever, but it is so taxing in so many ways. So making sure that you have even a small community, or, you know, if you're a first-time mom and you don't feel like you have a ton of close friends, but you have a family member who has kids or a neighbor who has kids that you trust, just ask, like, hey, I'm getting nervous about becoming a mom. If I need a friend to talk to, can I reach out to you? And I can't envision any woman who's had children saying no. So that is a huge piece of advice and something that I will continue to do this time around. And also now I get to be that for other people, which is very cool. Hand in hand with that is making sure that you actually take time for your partner. I am very fortunate that my mom especially is very involved in our son's life. My husband's mom lives in Alberta on the other side of the country. I love her so much, and I know if she was here, she'd be no different. But making sure that you are able to take some time for just you and your spouse. We definitely did experience at times the kind of feeling of being roommates and being like passing ships, but I will say having a child brought us closer together. You know, if people are discouraging you about how it's going to affect your marriage, that wasn't our experience. My husband is my best friend, and I'm so excited to have another child with him. And even if it's the simplest thing, you know, once your kid gets to bed, like, hey, let's turn off the TV, let's play a board game and like bake something together and just hang out, and making sure that we have that one-on-one time, because it's so easy to, once the kids get to bed, just like be on your phone on opposite corners of the house. And there are nights that call for that. This happened the other night where my husband and I, we recently moved into this house, and I'm pregnant and I'm still working and we're so tired. The other night, we just, throughout the day, I said, you know, I think when our son goes to bed tonight, I think I need a little time just for me to relax. And he said, actually, I feel the same way. So when our son got to bed, my husband sat down and played a video game, and I went to our room and put a movie on my laptop and ended up falling asleep halfway through it. But that's important, but also making sure that you have time for one another, because when you are connected with your spouse and things are healthy and your kids see that, there is such a security there that is so important. One more thing that I wanted to throw in terms of things that I'm going to do differently this time, now that we're just chatting and my brain is thinking about it all, is when people say you can never have enough blank, whether it be like onesies, bottles, soothers, toys, you 1,000% can. Something I am doing differently this time is I am not overstocking on clothing and toys and like burp cloths and sheets and all that. I would rather have a smaller amount of stuff to manage and do laundry more often, or like hand wash a onesie that got spit up on or something, because I feel like I have 8 billion bins of baby clothing, half of which I didn't even use. I gave so much of it away or sold it to like Once Upon a Child. But this time, I'm going to say I got like 10 onesies, 5 or 6, you know, pairs of pants, 2 or 3 sweaters. Like, I ended up rotating like the same like 7 to 8 outfits with my son through each stage of his sizing so far. So less stuff to manage is always better. When we moved into this house, I like rage purged not only baby stuff, but like furniture and toys and DVDs and kitchen supplies. And the peace it has brought me to have so much less to manage is like, I can't even explain it to you. So that is something that I'm doing differently. Anyways, guys, thank you for sitting down and having a chat with me today. I hope that some of these things were helpful for you. And I hope you feel encouraged, and maybe like you got even just a teensy weensy bit more prepared mentally for what you need to do. If you're about to have your first, congratulations. If you are like me and you're having your second, third, fourth, I hope that maybe you learned something here that you haven't before. Maybe your experience is totally different and you disagree. That's cool. Let me know in the comments how you feel about some of the stuff that we talked about, or if you have any tips for me. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.